veterans are useless. They just want attention. The words didn't just land in the courtroom, they hit the floor like a grenade. And the guy who pulled the pin? Derek Monroe, 22 years old, sitting at the defense table, arms crossed, chin tilted up, wearing a smirk that said, he owned the place. You could feel the air leave the room. The gallery went dead silent. A woman in the third row covered her mouth. Someone in the back actually gasped. This wasn't just a bad choice of words. This was a declaration of war against decency. Judge Frank Caprio, a man who has seen everything, actually put his pen down. He looked at this kid like he was trying to solve a puzzle with a missing piece. "What did you just say?" he asked. "And Derek?" He didn't back down. He didn't stutter. He leaned into the microphone, casual as you like, and doubled down. "I said, veterans milk their service. They act like heroes, but most of them just want special treatment." Right there. That moment. That's when you knew this wasn't going to be a normal traffic hearing. This was going to be a bloodbath. You could see the attorney next to him, Adam Patrick, physically recoil. He's leaning in, whispering, probably begging his client to shut up. But Derek just shakes his head. He dismisses his own lawyer like he's swatting a fly. He thinks this is a joke. He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. He thinks his expensive suit and his attitude are going to protect him. But here's the thing about courtrooms. They have a way of stripping away the costumes. And Derek Monroe was about to find out that arrogance isn't a shield. It's a target. Because standing in the back of the room was a man Derek hadn't noticed yet. A man in a uniform that commanded real respect. Not the fake kind Derek was chasing. And sitting in the front row was a 71-year-old man gripping a cane. A man whose silence was louder than Derek's shouting. We are about to watch a masterclass in karma. You think you know where this is going? You have no idea. Buckle up. The clerk, Miss Reyes, stands up. She's reading the charges, and usually, this is the boring part. But not today. Her reading glasses slide down her nose, and she pauses. She actually stops reading for a second before she says the word veteran. It was subtle, but if you were watching closely, you saw it. Case number 2025 TR 9927. The charges: disorderly conduct, verbal harassment, refusal to comply, destruction of a citation. It sounded like a laundry list of bad behavior, but the legal terms didn't do it justice. This wasn't just disorderly conduct. This was cruelty. Pure and simple. Derek's lawyer, Adam Patrick, stands up. He's got that "I want to be anywhere else but here" look on his face. He goes into damage control mode immediately. Your Honor, my client intends to enter a plea of no contest. We'll pay the fine. Let's wrap this up. He's trying to smother the fire before it spreads. He wants to cut a check and get this kid out the side door before he opens his mouth again. Standard play. Usually it works. Judges are busy. They want to clear the docket. But Judge Caprio? He wasn't having it. He looks over his glasses. I'm not interested in resolving this quickly, counselor. I'm interested in understanding what happened. That's the signal. That's the sound of the trap snapping shut. The judge asks if Derek accepts responsibility. The lawyer says yes. The judge looks at Derek. Do you? And here comes the attitude again. Derek leans back. I said what I said. People are too sensitive these days. He's treating the chief judge of the municipal court like a waiter who got his order wrong. He's bored. He's annoyed. He's completely blind to the cliff he's standing on. The judge pulls a file. Mr. Monroe, this isn't your first rodeo, is it? Turns out, 11 months ago, Derek had another incident at a bus stop, telling a veteran to stop playing soldier. No charges filed that time, just a warning. But it established a pattern. This wasn't a one-off bad day. This was who Derek was. And when the judge points this out, Derek shrugs. I don't have an issue with them. I just think the hero worship is excessive. Let's talk about the victim for a second. Robert Tank Martinez, Vietnam veteran, 71 years old. He's sitting in the front row, and he looks like he's carved out of granite and old leather. He's holding a cane. Not as a prop, but because he needs it. He's got shrapnel in his leg from 1972. Metal fragments that have been inside his body longer than Derek has been alive. He's quiet. He hasn't said a word yet. He's just watching. The judge calls Officer Elaine Hunt to the front. She's carrying a folder, and she looks angry. Controlled, professional, but angry. She starts to paint the picture. She responded to a call at a cafe on Washington Street. A disturbance. When she got there, she found Tank Martinez sitting on the ground. Not in a chair. On the concrete, trying to pick up his pills. And standing over him, Derek, with his phone out, filming. Filming? The judge asks. Yes, Your Honor. And narrating. Derek interrupts. First Amendment rights. He screams it like a magic spell that grants immunity from being a decent human being. I was exercising my rights. Judge Caprio's voice drops an octave. It gets very quiet. The First Amendment protects your speech, Mr. Monroe. It doesn't protect you from the consequences of harassment. Then comes the detail that turned the stomach of everyone in that room. Officer Hunt explains that Tank was trying to pick up his medication. He has nerve damage. His hands shake. And Derek? He didn't help. He didn't walk away. He kicked the bottle. He kicked a 71-year-old man's heart medication across the sidewalk and into a storm drain. Let that sink in. He kicked the pills into the sewer. And Derek's defense? It didn't go that far. I barely touched it. He's arguing physics while everyone else is looking at his morality. He says, I'll pay him back the $83. Can we move on? He thinks this is a transaction. He thinks he can buy his way out of being a villain. Officer Hunt, the judge says, play the tape. This is the moment. The courtroom lights dim. The big screen on the wall flickers to life. The body cam footage starts. It's high definition. Audio is crisp. You see Tank. He's sitting at a cafe table. A cup of coffee. A newspaper. The picture of peace. He's just an old guy enjoying the morning sun. Then a shadow falls over the table. The camera, Derek's perspective, pushes in. You hear Derek's voice, and it's sneering. Hey, stolen valor. You even serve or you just wear the hat for discounts? Tank looks up. He's confused. He's gentle. Excuse me, he says. He's not aggressive. He's just trying to drink his coffee. He even shows his military ID. His hands are shaking a little. And Derek just laughs. Okay, so you served. That was 50 years ago. Get over it. The cruelty on the tape is visceral. It's hard to watch. Derek keeps pushing. Your generation had it easy. You played victim. We get ignored. It's this stream of consciousness, narcissism. Tank tries to stand up. He's struggling. He leans on the cane. And that's when the pill bottle slips. It hits the ground. Plastic skittering on concrete. Tank bends down. It's slow. It's painful. You can see him wince. And then you see the sneaker. Derek's expensive sneaker. A lazy, casual kick. The bottle slides across the pavement, hits the curb, and vanishes into the grate. Oops, Derek says on the tape. Oops. The screen goes black. For 10 seconds, nobody in the courtroom breathes. Absolute silence. You could hear the hum of the air conditioning. It was the kind of silence that comes before a thunderclap. Even the defense attorney, Adam Patrick, looks sick. He's looking at the floor, rubbing his forehead. He knows there is no defending this. Derek breaks the silence. He was fine. He got his pills replaced. The judge looks at him. And this isn't a judge looking at a defendant anymore. This is a grandfather looking at a lost cause. "You think people are too sensitive?" Caprio asks. "No, I think you are cruel." He starts listing the medical facts, the shrapnel, the 14 pieces of jagged metal still inside Tank's body, the chronic pain, the 6 different medications just to function. "You called that victim status," the judge says. "I call it survival." Derek is still trying to argue. He's still trying to make this about his generation being lectured. He just doesn't get it. The arrogance is sealed tight. Nothing is penetrating that shell. But the judge has one more card to play, and it's the ace of spades. "Counselor," the judge asks the lawyer, "does your client have family present?" The lawyer goes pale. "Yes, Your Honor." The doors at the back of the room open, and a man stands up. He's tall, broad shoulders. He's wearing a uniform. Not just any uniform. It's a police chief's uniform. Gold badges, service bars. The weight of authority hangs on him like a cape. It's Chief Allen Monroe, Derek's father. The color drains out of Derek's face. For the first time, the smirk vanishes. He didn't know his dad was there. Or maybe he hoped he wasn't. The chief walks down the center aisle. His boots echo on the floor. Clack, clack, clack. He doesn't look at the judge yet. He's looking straight at his son. And the look on his face? It's not anger. It's heartbreak. It's the look of a man watching his legacy burn to the ground. "Chief Monroe," the judge says gently, "were you aware of these charges?" "I was," the chief says. His voice is rough. "And I've seen the footage now." He walks right up to the defense table. Derek can't even meet his eyes. He's staring at his hands. The swagger is gone. The tough guy act? Evaporated. Now he's just a child who got caught. "Derek, look at me," the chief commands. Derek looks up. His jaw is tight, fighting back tears or rage. It's hard to tell. "Son, every veteran you insulted is someone I served beside," the chief says. He's not yelling. He's speaking with that quiet intensity that is terrifying. "Every sacrifice you mocked is a sacrifice that gave you the freedom to sit in this courtroom and say stupid, hurtful things." Derek tries to stammer. "Dad, I am not finished." The chief's voice cracks like a whip. "I taught you better than this. Your grandfather was a veteran. Your uncle died in Iraq. You know what service means, or you should. This is the turning point. This is where the mask cracks. You can physically see Derek shrink. His shoulders drop. The entitlement slides off him like cheap paint. "I didn't think," he whispers. "No," his dad says. "You didn't think. You acted like respect is something you earn by tearing others down." Then the judge drops another bombshell. He asks the chief if anyone from the department called to ask for a favor, to make this go away. The chief admits someone did, but he clarifies immediately. "Not at my request." "Good," the judge says, "because justice doesn't have a family discount?" "I wouldn't want it to," the chief replies. "My son needs to face the full weight of what he's done." Now, the judge turns to the victim. Tank Martinez. He asks him to stand. It takes effort. Tank pushes himself up on the cane. The bailiff moves to help him, but Tank waves him off. He wants to stand on his own. Judge Caprio asks him what he wants to see happen. Does he want money? Does he want jail time? Tank looks at Derek. And this is the part that kills you. There's no hate in his eyes, just sadness. I thought maybe he was curious, Tank says, but he wasn't curious. He was hunting for content. Tank talks about coming home from Vietnam, about the spitting, about the protests, about 58,000 names on a wall. He says, I don't need parades. I don't need thanks. I just need to not be mocked while I'm trying to drink my coffee. He turns to the judge. You don't have to respect me. Just respect what it costs to stand here. The room is silent again, but it's a different kind of silence now. It's heavy. It's revered. You look at Derek, and he's wiping his eyes, not crying, but close. The reality of what he did, the sheer ugliness of it, is finally hitting him. He's realizing he didn't just prank an old man, he stepped on a history he doesn't understand. Judge Caprio looks at the notes. He looks at the father. He looks at the son. He closes the folder. The time for talking is over. It's time for the hammer to drop. The judge leans forward. Mr. Monroe, I see a young man who mistakes arrogance for strength. You think disrespect is honesty. You think freedom of speech means freedom from consequences. Derek tries to speak, but the judge cuts him off with a look that could freeze water. Words injure. A broken bone heals. But being told your sacrifice was meaningless? That leaves a scar you can't see. Then comes the sentence. And it's brilliant. Derek probably expected a fine, maybe a weekend in jail. He got something much harder. I am imposing the fine, Caprio says, but I'm staying the majority of it pending a restorative path. First, a formal written apology, not a text, a real letter. Second, 120 hours of volunteer service at the Providence VA Center, working directly with the people he mocked, pushing wheelchairs, serving meals, listening. Third, an emotional intelligence course, 8 weeks. And finally, a reflection essay answering 3 questions. What does respect mean? What does service cost? And what responsibility do you have to those who came before you? Derek looks stunned. 8 weeks? He mutters. The chief nods at the judge. He needs to learn what I failed to teach him. You taught him, Caprio says kindly. He just didn't listen. That's his failure, not yours. Fast forward. We're not done. The story doesn't end in the courtroom. Derek shows up at the VA. First day, he's in a hoodie, still got a chip on his shoulder. A coordinator named Miguel throws him into the deep end. Push this wheelchair. Derek spends hours moving men in their 80s and 90s to therapy. He hears the groans of pain. He sees the missing limbs. By week 3, something shifts. He stops checking his phone. He starts learning names. He watches a double amputee teach a new guy how to tie shoes with one hand. He sees dignity in places he never looked before. Week 5. Tank Martinez walks into the cafeteria. He's sitting alone with his coffee. Same setup as the day of the incident. Derek walks over. He sits down. I'm sorry, Derek says. And this time, he means it. Tank looks at him. I know. I read your letter. They talk. Real talk. Tank tells him, the hardest part of war isn't getting hurt. It's coming home and realizing the country you fought for doesn't remember why you went. Derek cries. Right there in the cafeteria. He finally gets it. Strength isn't mocking weakness. Strength is carrying weakness, so others don't have to. January comes. The follow-up hearing. Snow is falling outside. Derek walks in, but he walks differently. The swagger is gone. He walks like a man who understands gravity. He reads his letter to the court. I was wrong, he says. I thought respect was being louder. I learned respect is quieter than that. It's listening. The judge smiles. He wipes the fine. But the best moment? Tank stands up. "I forgive him," the old veteran says, "and if he wants to keep volunteering, we'd be glad to have him." Tank extends a hand. Derek takes it, pulls him into a hug. The chief is in the back, weeping openly. Derek kept volunteering for 2 years. He didn't have to. He chose to. He eventually spoke at Tank's funeral when the old man passed away. He stood by the casket and told the world that a stranger he once mocked taught him how to be a man. Respect costs nothing. Disrespect costs everything. But redemption? That's always on the table, if you're brave enough to do the work. Remember that next time you feel like punching down. You never know who's standing tall behind you.